Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 549, Wasteland Weekend. I'll tell you why I said that, but it's been a interesting week. Did not know CinemaCon was this week, and CinemaCon is a convention which reveals new information from the major distributors to movie theater owners to try to get them excited about upcoming films and stuff like that. So the footage and stuff like that was shown at CinemaCon has not made its way online yet, so we cannot see what they saw. We could just go by their descriptions and what they had to say and whatever. The eclipse happened this week, and as expected, the world did not end. And what else? Oh, a big death of a very, I can't think of the top term. Hell with that. I can't think of it. O.J. Simpson passed away. There's a both sides sort of story with that. We'll talk a little bit about O.J. Simpson as well. Trini Robbins also died this week. She was a groundbreaker in the comic industry. We got some comic book news. We've got some food. We've got some drink. A lot of CinemaCon stuff, a lot of updates on new things coming out. Some Star Trek news. That's the only show I could really think of to wear this week. So if you do that, a lot of stuff going on. The Joker 2 trailer. Francis Ford Coppola had a couple of stories, one good, one bad. Reality shows, dating shows strike again. Robert Downey Jr., Beach Boys, Jim Henson, Aubrey Plaza, David Lynch, John Waters, smelly stuff, Game of Thrones cancellations, casting, trailers. Hopefully I can read a lot of stuff. I was writing stuff pretty off, so you got to give me a break here. Football news, baseball news, but mostly CinemaCon stuff. It takes up the majority of the stuff going on today. So actually, I really don't feel like doing this anymore, so I'm going to delete that. I don't care. I missed this time. So we're going to start right off top. The eclipse happened on Monday. And here in Baltimore, we did not get the total eclipse. We got a partial. And it was mostly cloudy, but when the time for the eclipse came, it got a little dark out, but it was more like kind of like a twilight, sort of, not even that. It wasn't even really that dark, but sort of kind of like an early twilight, sort of 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, sort of darkness out there during the fall. And if you can look, as long as you don't stare directly at it for a long period of time, you can take a look at it real quick and see it. When you try to see totality by looking directly at the sun, you didn't see anything but the sun. But when the clouds rolled over the sun and you saw the majority of the bright sunlight being reduced down to the clouds, you actually did see a good portion of the eclipse. I think I got a really good picture of it. So if I can find it here real quick. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, there it is, right there. You can see it briefly a little bit. So yeah, I got a little bit of a good view of it. We also had a lot of it's been a week, and our new little man has made his way comfortable here. We have the upstairs blocked off, so he can't come down here. But he's come in really well here, and has fit in very well and enjoys being here and sleeping and playing, and has hung out with everybody and giving kisses and hugs and rubs, and hasn't hissed at me in a long time. So it's a good sign. So I guess the big major news after that was O.J. Simpson died. O.J. Simpson was a Hall of Fame running back for the Buffalo Bills, who, after he retired, segued into movies to become movie star. Did Capricorn 1 and a few other ones, but he's most famous for his work as Nordberg in the Naked Gun movies. Then in 1994, he allegedly, I say allegedly, even though most everybody believes he did it, killed his wife and a friend of theirs, Ron Goldman, slitting her throat and stabbing him 15 times. And he was a prime suspect because he was abusive toward his wife, but he claimed to have alibis and stuff like that. But he had left California before the bodies were found because he had to do a trip or something like that. And he was called back by the police to be interviewed for the murder. And instead of complying, he, and I forget the name of the guy that drove him in his Ford Bronco, drove him who knows where. They said that he said the driver said that OJ was going to commit suicide because he couldn't live with not being able to live with it without his wife, even though it was probably the guilt eating him up inside. But eventually he was corralled back to his house where he was arrested for the murder of his wife. Because why would you run away when police want to question you? And it became the Ford Bronco chase was a big deal because it cut into the NHL Stanley Cup parade and the NBA championships, and people were it was in mid-June, and people were just intrigued by it. And it was racially divided in Los Angeles because they believe, a lot of black people in California believe that the police target them because they're black, and they believe that that's what happened with OJ because he kept saying he didn't kill his wife, but now he was on trial for it. The trial became a big farce, aired live on television. The whole thing aired live during prime time. Well, not prime time, but during the day. And it became a huge sensation, pop culture thing. Jay Leno brought out the dancing Itos because the lead, the judge in the case was Judge Lance Ito. And I guess he thought that was funny to have a bunch of dancing Itos out there. It was stupid. Norm Macdonald, who had been working on SNL's Weekend Update, absolutely lambasted O.J. Simpson in his Weekend Update stuff. And not Lorne Michaels, but the money man on NBC, I think, who runs NBC, O.J. was a friend of his, did not like Norm Macdonald saying all that stuff, so had Lorne Michaels fire Norm Macdonald during this time. The Kardashians, Ron Kardashian was one of the lead lawyers for OJ, and he became infamous because of that, and then his daughters became infamous because of that, and then a few sex videos later and so on and so forth. The Kardashians can't get away from them for the greater part of this past century. And just they did a whole TV miniseries with Cuba Gooding Jr. About the case. They did other things about it as well. It was just a big how do you do? And then OJ was acquitted of the murders, which did not sit right with a lot of people because they believe that it was a dead cert that he did it, but there was enough doubt that the jury said no, that's not exactly what happened. And OJ was a free man, and he claimed he was going to not stop until he found the real killer. And he went golfing after that and didn't do an investigation, didn't hire private investigators, whatever. And then the parents of his wife and Ron Goldman sued him and they won. So he owed them money because they believed that he was the killer and that he was liable for their murder. So he owed them a bunch of money. So he lost a lot of money into that. So then a couple of years later, he broke into a casino to steal back some memorabilia he had sold, got arrested for that and thrown in prison. So he actually did serve some prison time and then came out. And then the newest quirk in things was that everybody who was at he died of cancer. Everyone who was at his dying bed had to sign NDA, non-disclosure agreements, because they believed that he confessed to killing Nicole and Ron then. Though we'll never know because of the NDAs. There's enough proof that he probably did do the deed, and probably 90% of people believe he did it. I remember back in 94 and 95 when this whole hullabaloo was going on, I kind of believed he did it, but at the same time, I was coming up with alternate conspiracy theories about who actually did the killing. So it was an interesting thing. But love him or hate him, he was a damn good football player. He was an okay comedic actor, and he was a vicious killer, depending on who you talk to. So O.J. Simpson passed away due to cancer at the age of 76, I think they said it was. So we had that. April's kind of a weird year because at the same time, since this happened in a weird month, I should say, because, and just going back real quick to O.J. Simpson, it's interesting that he passed away this year on the 30th anniversary of the deaths of his wife and Ron Goldman. And there's probably still going to be a big how to do about it back in June and all that stuff, but it's been 30 years since they were murdered. So interesting. But April has always had a bad rep, I guess you could say. One of the anniversaries, I'll talk about that real quick here. The Titanic actually sank, I think it's April 14th. So tomorrow the Titanic sank. Let me verify that. When did the Titanic sink? April 14th, 1912. Yep. So tomorrow is the anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. That happened in April. Adolf Hitler was born in April. Columbine, the 25th anniversary of Columbine is coming up later this month. So that's going to be, let's see, when is Columbine actually? April 20th, 1999. Okay. 420. Yeah. Was when the 25th anniversary of Columbine. The Virginia Tech shooter also was in April. Apollo 13 had his explosion, I think April 13th. I think today, actually, the anniversary was today, I think April 13th. I think Apollo 13 had their explosion that crippled them, but they were able to get back to Earth, hence the movie Apollo 13 that we saw. So that happened in April also. So I think there's more stuff that happened in April, but that's just a small sampling of the stuff that happened in April. But we also got the birth of my mother. Birth of Sarah Michelle Gellar is also in April as well. 420, the marijuana. William Shakespeare's birthday is in April. First Contact Day is in April. Rex Manning Day is in April. That's right. Rex Manning Day was the same day as the eclipse. For those who don't know, check out Empire Records, the film. You'll know what the hullabaloo is about Rex Manning and Rex Manning Day, which was on Monday. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, a lot of stuff happening with April. Also, the anniversary was, we had the explosion on Apollo 13, but this was also the anniversary of the launch of the first space shuttle was in 1981 in April. So I kind of remember that. I think Michael Levitt and I were playing in my dining room at my house where I grew up when my mom called us in to watch the launch of the space shuttle. So it was a big freaking deal because no one had ever seen the space shuttle. The space shuttle had never gone up and flown before. So that's kind of a cool little thing there. So yeah. So some CinemaCon news. I have it spread out over the 4 or 5 pages I have of work today. So let's get to it real quick. CinemaCon news. Again, CinemaCon was a convention where distributors tried to sell their product to film owners of movie theaters. So first up announcement, an R-rated live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin film is in production, or is in pre-production right now. R-rated live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Last Ronin movie is due up here. G.I. Joe versus Transformers live-action film is officially a go, with Steven Spielberg executive producing it. There were rumors that was what was going to happen, but it is now official going to happen. The TV show Heroes, which had a amazing first season and then went downhill after that, is getting a reboot from Tim Krieg, or is Tim Krieg, I think. Tim Krieg, the original creator, is coming back, and he's doing a reboot of Heroes called Eclipse. So we'll see what that's all about. Kevin Feige came out, talked about Thunderbolts with an asterisk, which is now the name of the film. It's not just Thunderbolts, it's Thunderbolts with an asterisk, and that has spewed all the conspiracy theorists who believe that we are actually going to be seeing the birth of the Dark Avengers. And Thunderbolts asterisk was just that is the official name of it. We're going to see if that is indeed the case when Thunderbolts comes out next year in May 5th. A new SpongeBob movie called The Search for SquarePants is due out also soon, and it will have nudity in it because apparently SpongeBob loses his SquarePants. Apparently that's going to be the storyline. The first Deadpool Wolverine footage was shown. Again, hasn't been shown in public. Nothing has leaked online. So nobody actually knows. All they have is a description of it. And they're saying that all those people who are afraid that Disney was going to water down Deadpool had nothing to worry about. What they saw was basically what you expect from a Deadpool movie. So Disney's all in on that. The animated film Transformers 1, which features, had some behind-the-scenes footage as well. Or not behind-the-scenes, some actual footage from it. Voiced by Chris Hemsworth will be voicing Optimus Prime. Scarlett Johansson's voicing stuff. John Hamm, Key from Key and Peele, Lawrence Fishburne. Bill Henry is also doing it as well. So we got Bill Tyree Henry is also doing it. So we got that coming up. Alien Romulus footage was shown. We saw the trailer. We saw how gory it was, and the footage that they showed just upped the gore a little bit more. So it's going to be a gory horror film, horror sci-fi film. Margot Robbie has announced that she'll be producing Monopoly, a movie based on the game Monopoly. And she's also, we already know, producing a version of The Sims as well. And this is news I like. CinemaCon also announced that Interstellar, one of my favorite movies with the luscious Anne Hathaway and the okay Matthew McConaughey, John Lithgow, Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, Topher Grace, Michael Caine, Harry and the Hendersons, the guy from Third Rock from the Sun. John had it there. John Lithgow also in it too. I love this movie, and I never saw it in movie theaters. I did not see it until I put the Blu-ray in about 2 or 3 years ago. It became one of my favorite movies of all time. For its 10th anniversary, which is this year, it will be re-released in the movie theaters on September 27th. And will be in IMAX and 70 millimeter screens. So I think I will be going to see that in the movie theater. So that's pretty good. This is more CinemaCon news to come. I've got it spread all over the place. The real life Mobile Suit Gundam in Japan, which became a huge tourist attraction and actually was a giant robot that walked, unfortunately is now being disassembled. Don't know why. Don't know the reason for it. I think it's a terrible idea, but they probably have a reason for it. So I don't know. Twizzlers have a they have this new. It's not new. It's been out for a while, but it's a kind called the Twists, the Twizzler Twists, and there's some really really good ones out there. The orange and vanilla one's a good one, but there's some really really good ones out there. Pink lemonade flavor is the new flavor coming out for Twizzlers Twists, which is a great idea, and I can't wait to try that as well. Ice Spice is set to join Denzel Washington in Spike Lee's new movie. So she will be making her film debut there. Civil War, that movie came out this week, is the #1 movie at the box office, making $24 million for A24. It is A24's highest opening gross of any of their movies. So it's a big deal for that. Leo Woodall to join Renee Zellweger and Hugh Grant in Bridget Jones' Diary 4. Andy Samberg and the Abigail director. Abigail's coming out on Friday, but Andy Samberg and the Abigail director are teaming up for a robot comedy, which could be pretty interesting. We haven't had a good robot comedy in a while. A newly built public school in Florida picks Sasquatch as its mascot. So they're the Sasquatches. Cold Case reboot. The popular TV show is being rebooted with a new cast and a new city. Researchers have grown chickpeas from simulated moon dust, which means you could probably grow chickpeas on the moon or on Mars and make some outer space hummus. Exoplanet WASP-76b, which is considered to be called a hell planet because it does not, it is tidally locked to its moon, or to its star rather, which means that one side of the planet is scorched to death. On the other side is a frozen wasteland. And it's about the size of Jupiter. They believe that it had sucked in a couple planets to build up its mass. But apparently it has what is now called a rainbow glory, which is something you can only see here on Earth, which is a circular rainbow in the sky. You might have seen it a few times, some circular rainbows in the sky. Instead of the arc, it's like circular stuff in the sky. They discovered that on this planet. So it's kind of exciting for them to figure out why that actually did happen. Look, Martin Scorsese is a great director, but lately he has really been getting on my nerves a little bit, and maybe I'm unfairly judging him for this story. I'm not judging him unfairly for his comic book movie comments, which I still think are ridiculous and stupid, considering his movies are pretty much all the same as well. But the flowers, the killers of the flower moon, Scorsese's latest film based on a true story. I read the book and I wanted to see the movie, but I don't have Apple Plus TV. I didn't want to sit 3+ hours in a movie theater to watch this movie. Plus I was pissed at Scorsese for his comic book comments. Apparently will not be getting a Blu-ray release. And I'm blaming Scorsese for that, but I probably shouldn't. I should probably blame Apple TV Plus, because they are very rare about wanting to release Blu-rays of their content, because they want people to come and join Apple Plus TV for their content. And that's the reason why they're trying to get people to join their streamer. And if you release all your good stuff, your TV shows, your movies, stuff like that on Blu-ray, then nobody's going to say, I'm going to go to Apple Plus TV and watch it when I can just see it my Blu-ray. But I don't like this idea. I think it's a terrible idea, because, now I'm not going to see it. And one of Scorsese's big things is that these movies aren't making any money and stuff like that. Well, if Apple TV Plus might release a movie on DVD and Blu-ray, you might make some money off of that. Maybe you need to talk to them a little bit, Marty, instead of just talking out at everybody else in the world. A woman leaves a Yu-Gi-Oh card event due to the smell. Apparently, the people playing in the card event don't shower, and they sweat a lot, and it's men and women. And a woman went to it to watch it, I guess, with her son or whatever, and had to leave due to the horrible smells. And that you're going to get that. Comic book conventions can sometimes have that mix of sort of dirty, sweaty smell along with processed McDonald's type food. Now, places like the big conventions like Baltimore and San Diego and stuff like that, you're probably not going to have as big of an issue because it's such a bigger spot and it's a higher ceiling and stuff like that. You still might get little whiffs here and there, but nothing apparently as bad as this woman had here. Due to pollution of a fecal nature, the Seine in France may not be used during the Olympics. Originally, people were going to use a triathlon. The triathletes were going to swim in the Seine as part of their triathlon event for the Olympics that are coming this summer to Paris. But due to the pollution of a fecal matter, they cannot allow swimmers in there unless they clean it over and get it clean enough that there is not any huge concentration of fecal matter, which could make swimmers sick. So they're going to have to find, more than likely, they're going to have to find a different place. The Seine is like the centerpiece of France. Would have been perfect to do the triathlon, but guess what? For whatever reason, you've got shit in your river, and it ain't going anywhere. And no matter what you do, you're probably not going to be able to get it out in time for July's Olympics. So you're going to have to find another place that's clear of shit to do your triathlon. Another death this week was Rico Wade, Outkast and TLC collaborator, died at the age of 52. Other anniversaries this week, we have The Cabin in the Woods, great freaking movie written by Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, directed by Drew Goddard. That came out in 2012. So 2012, 10, 11 years, no, 12 years old. And Anaconda, the Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, John Voight movie, debuted 27 years ago this week as well. I saw it in the movie theater. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I saw it, but it was 27 years ago, which makes that 94, 95, 96, like 97. So, it's 97 the year I saw 52 movies, 51 movies. It might have been. Ethan Hawke wants to said he would gladly return for a fourth Before movie if Richard Linklater pitched it to him. So far, he hasn't. But if he decides that he wants to do another Before movie, he knows he's already got Ethan Hawke, and more than likely he's going to get Julie Delpy as well. Keke Palmer to star in the Russo brothers' new film, Gods Unknown. The NHL team, Arizona Coyotes, who have an amazing logo, are unfortunately never going to be able to see that logo again because they are moving to Utah, which kind of sucks. But I guess Arizona having an ice skate, a hockey team, ice hockey team is kind of weird. More CinemaCon news, Star Trek edition. Star Trek Origins movie, which is different than Star Trek 4, which is starting to go back into pre-production now. They got a new script and stuff like that. But a new Star Trek movie called Star Trek Origins is set to be made soon as well. Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated, critically acclaimed animated Star Trek show. Fifth season will be its last season, so people are angry about that. And the live action and Star Trek Strange New World has been renewed for season 4. So good news and bad news. The live action Minecraft film has finished filming. So now it's just going to be special effects, which means we will probably be seeing that next year, next summer probably. Oh, okay. That's what I say. A little while back, the new reboot, the reboot of Doctor Who with Ncuti Gatwa, his companion, who was in the Christmas special and in the first season, we're set to drop next month. Rumor came over, not rumor, but news came over that she has left the show. That was a premature storyline, because we have season 2 has started filming already, and there are rumors of her joining, staying on as his companion, and he getting the new companion that was also supposed to be there. So he will be have 2 companions instead of just 1. So the fact that the original companion from season 1 is still hanging around means that she's probably not leaving the show, and it's just they're going to add another character to have someone else to play off of, because they did that for Matt Smith's character with Karen Gillan and what's his face, the guy who played her husband. So there we go. Oh, that's still part of the storyline. All right, so yeah, I forgot to connect that. The Knuckles TV show is set to debut on Paramount Plus on April 26th. CinemaCon also, Jim Carrey is all in on season 3 of not season 3 of Sonic 3, third movie. Tom Hiddleston's BBC show, The Night Manager, has been renewed for multiple seasons. Fallout, the TV show based on the video game that came out the other day, a couple days ago, has been renewed for a second season. First season is very as critically acclaimed right now. After 101 years, a $20 find in a car boot sale reveals Clara Bow's lost film, and it's finally made its premiere. Clara Bow was one of the first female stars of motion pictures back at the golden age of cinema, 1910, 1920. And there was rumors of a lost film out there somewhere that she did that no one knew about till they found this one, and it has now been cleaned up and is debuting in, I guess, specific movie theaters in California. I've been making a list for my summer movie preview, and I saw this film, and I was like, I'm not going to write about this, but I think I'm going to have to talk about this one because it is kind of a big deal. Jerry Bruckheimer produces. Daisy Ridley from Star Wars stars in Young Woman in the Sea, with a date of coming out in movie theaters on May 31st from Disney. And it is based on a true story about the first woman to swim the English Channel. First trailer for it came out, and it looks actually pretty decent. So pretty good. Terrifier 3, the one about the killer clown. We've known for a while now Terrifier 3 is going to be set during Christmas. So, of course, set during Christmas, you need a very important figure to Christmas, Mr. Santa Claus. And they have found their Santa Claus in Daniel Roebuck, who surprisingly was originally cast in Home Alone in the role that Daniel Stern ended up taking. In the end, actually, Daniel Stern was offered the role first. He turned it down when his money demands were not met. And then when the movie, and then they got Daniel Roebuck, and then he wasn't working with Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci didn't have the chemistry with him. And Chris Columbus had always wanted Daniel Stern. So now that they had a new production company and a new budget, they went to Daniel Stern and said, yeah, come on back. And he said, sure. And he was working with Pesci, and the two of them were friends, and they got along really well, and the rest is history. Thank you. Movies That Made Us. Netflix, you need to make another season of that ASAP. It's been about 4 years now since the last one, so why don't we get another one out here, people? New Garfield trailer debuted at CinemaCon also. That's due out into May as well. Emma Stone is set to star in an untitled film directed by David McCary, who did this Bruges Bear or something like that. I guess it's famous one. I don't know much about it. Paul Waller Hauser will be playing Chris Farley in a Josh Gad directed biopic of the comedian who sadly lost his life. A Loch Ness monster hunter wants NASA to help them search for Nessie using some of their more high-tech weaponry, high-tech stuff as well. Helen Hunt and Dustin Hoffman have signed on to Peter Greenwald's new film. Again, untitled. No one knows anything about it, but they signed on to it. Another CinemaCon news. New animated Avatar, The Last Airbender trilogy is set to debut with the older kids, and Dave Bautista will be playing the bad guy. It is animated, and it's a new series coming out here in a little bit. Chocolatey peanut butter Rice Krispie treats are the newest Rice Krispie treat flavor. Mad Max cosplayers take over the Mojave Desert one weekend every year for Wasteland Weekend. Now you know why I named the episode Wasteland Weekend. I never knew there were Mad Max cosplayers. Doesn't surprise me, though. And the fact they take over the Mojave Desert and reenact the movies is outstanding. So good on that. Local news, Jackson Holiday, the Baltimore Orioles #1 prospect, has joined the main club earlier than expected, and he's been terrible so far, has not gotten a hit yet in 3 games. In 3 games, has not gotten a hit in 3 games, gotten 1 RBI and scored 1 run, and that's it. But for those fans who are losing their minds about that, remember Adley Rutschman, when he first came up, he had a terrible 2 for 36 sort of span until it started coming together. And the probably same thing will happen with Jackson. So just bear with him a little bit. Orioles are so up and down. They lost a series to Kansas City Royals and then went to Boston, where they swept the Boston Red Sox, and then came home and lost their first 2 games and lost the series now to the Brewers. Their first 2 games, the Brewers have scored 22 runs against them, 11-1, 11-5. So not good when you allow 11 runs to the Brewers. Death this week, Eleanor Coppola. This is one of other Francis's other bad news. His wife, who was the director of the Heart of Darkness documentary about the filming of Apocalypse Now, also probably worked in the winery, and of course is Francis Ford Coppola's wife, passed away at the age of 87 this week. Actually, it was yesterday, I believe. Anniversary, Stephen King's Cat's Eye debuted in 1985. It was an anthology series that's connected by a stray cat who intertwined into 3 different storylines. It's an entertaining film. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. To no surprise, The Golden Bachelor, you thought would be a different story. You know, The Bachelor is the reality dating show, and The Bachelorette's another one of those where someone tries to find love, and then they finds love, and it looks like everything's good, and then they end up seeing about a month or so after the show ends that they've broken up. But this time we thought The Golden Bachelor had a new premise. It was an older bachelor, again, older ladies that so you figured that they would stay together since they're older. Nope, The Golden Bachelor first couple has decided to get divorced, to no surprise to anybody. So reality show continues to be unbeatable when it comes to setting up marriages. The great John Cusack, Minnie Driver, Dan Aykroyd, Joan Cusack, Jeremy Piven film Grosse Point Blank debuted in 1997. That was 27 years ago this week as well. Again, I think that was part of my 51 weeks of film. I think I saw that, and I saw that in the theater also. I did the Titanic already. Nighthawks debuted in 1981. It's Rutger Hauer, Sylvester Stallone, Billy D. Williams. It was an action film, and not a lot of people remember it, but it's one of the films that's seared on my memory, because when cable first came out around 83, I would say my dad got it for us, and he also got HBO for us. And back then, they would play the same movies because they didn't have the big libraries they have now. So they played the same movies over and over and over again. And Nighthawks was one of those films that I always seemed to stumble upon when I was flipping to HBO. And I probably shouldn't have been watching it at my 10-year-old age or so, but I did. So I kind of remember it a little bit, not much. I remember Rutger Hauer being shot at on like one of those like glass window elevator things flying over a city, something like that, or maybe it was on a subway or a helicopter. I don't remember, but it was something I remember. Shard Lake Trailer is a fantasy film for Hulu, starring Sean Bean. The NASA Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photographed a mysterious surfboard-shaped object orbiting the moon. Everybody was freaking out. It was like, oh, it's aliens or it's secret structures or whatever. Nope, actually, it was Korea's orbiter they have going on also. Just happened to orbit underneath the NASA orbiter, and they saw that. Excuse me, a Dark Matter trailer on Apple TV Plus with Jennifer Connelly and Joel Edgerton debuted. It's got like a multiversal sort of storyline, but anything with Jennifer Connelly is definitely good. I guess I talked about this last week, but I'm gonna, I think I did talk about this last week. Let me verify that. I thought it was something that was new to this week. Yeah, I talked about that. Okay, so we'll deal with that. So that was last week. Nia DaCosta, who directed The Marvels, which is a better movie than you misogynist assholes give credit for, is set to direct the second in the 28 Years Later trilogy that is set to be coming out here soon. Glenn Powell is also set to be the lead in a new adaptation of Stephen King's The Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright, which leads me to believe that Edgar Wright is going to direct this adaptation with Glenn Powell. What does that have to do with his adaptation of Barbarella with the amazing, luscious, sexy, gorgeous Sydney Sweeney, who worked with Glenn Powell recently in the Anyone But You huge hit romantic comedy? Is he going to be doing both? Is one going to be delayed because of the other, or is someone else going to direct Barbarella? Because Sydney Sweeney said Barbarella is still a go, and I want to see Sydney Sweeney as Barbarella more than anything. So let's get it done. If Edgar Wright doesn't do it, who I'm not the biggest fan of anyway, let's get somebody else who can do it. Let's get him done. Excuse me. CinemaCon had the first look at the the new Captain America movie. Had some first look of Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. Sans mustache, doesn't have the mustache that William Hurt had, which is a shame because I think that's would be good for him to have. And it also shows Anthony Mackie in a more subdued Captain America costume, which is good. Doritos Baja Fiery Mango chips are out. Melrose Place is getting a reboot with Heather Locklear returning to her role. This is part of CinemaCon. Monarch Legacy of Monsters is returning for season 2. After, I'd hope so, after the debut of Godzilla vs. Kong, which won the box office last week again, and the popularity of that and Godzilla -1. It was a dead cert that it was going to be renewed. But other news about this, Gareth Edwards, who directed the 2014 Godzilla movie that started off this legendary monster saga, will be returning to this as producer of the show and potential director of a few episodes as well. There's also a spin-off series will be coming off of this, so it has not been revealed what it is, but a spin-off series will be coming. So you're not going to be without your monsters for a while. More CinemaCon news. Trey Parker, Matt Stone, creators of South Park and Book of Mormon, and Team America, are teaming up with Kendrick Lamar for a untitled comedy musical set to debut July 2025. So they'll be filming that really soon. And whenever you get Trey and Matt to do a musical, then you add Kendrick Lamar. It should be interesting to see what they are going to produce. Under Paris, a Netflix shark film set debut in May. Gets a poster and a trailer. It looks like your typical sort of shark sort of movie. No big deal. More CinemaCon news. A new scary movie has been announced. Scary Movie 7 rather, I should say. Or is it 6? It's 6. Yeah, Scary Movie 6. Or it'll be a reboot, whatever. Is set to debut sometime next year. Don't know when, but it is set to be there. The Smurfs return. This is also part of CinemaCon. The Smurfs return to cinema on Valentine's Day of next year with a new movie. The first look at Gladiator 2 also occurred at CinemaCon. The trailer for Richard Eggers' Nosferatu also debuted at CinemaCon. Again, nothing's been leaked online for any of this stuff. And Smile 2 trailer was also released during CinemaCon as well. Rumor has it that that's going to be about a pop star who gets infected with the screen or the Smile virus and ends up infecting her fan base. So we'll see if that actually ends up being the case. Damien Chazelle's, despite the fact that his last movie, Babylon, was a huge flop, Paramount has said, well, we want to work with you again anyway. So he's signed up for his next film will be distributed by Paramount. Don't Move, a horror film from producer Sam Raimi, but not director, is coming to Netflix. The Rock, unfortunately, decided that he has gone full maggot. Is going to vote for Trump and believes that his dictatorship idea is actually a pretty good idea. Is now dead to me, but he came out during CinemaCon and said he will be part of Moana 2. Yippee, hooray, whatever, you piece of shit. I can't believe you did that. The Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, Batman 1989 film is set to get a direct sequel, but in novel format. Now, we've had the comics from DC, which is technically sort of the same thing, but we're actually going to be getting a novel, which is a direct sequel to Batman 89, which means it'll probably take place almost directly after the events of the movie. Jack Link's Wild Dr. Pepper snack sticks. It's beef jerky, but now flavored with Dr. Pepper is a new one. Mount Etna in Italy has been shooting out white vortex smoke rings. It is an active volcano. My father and stepmom are actually over there right now and actually were around Mount Etna a couple days ago. So that's kind of cool. In the Are You Freaking Kidding Me? A man sues himself after he threw a boomerang and it came back and hit him in the face. So he decided to sue himself and he won. And he gets a payment of $300,000 from the insurance company. Sounds like insurance fraud to me, to be honest. But what do I know? Lots of anniversaries. REM's first album, Murmur, debuted in 1983, so 41 years ago. Mad Max debuted 45 years ago this week. Maybe that's why the Wasteland weekends happen, is because of this. The David Harbour, Mila Jovovich Hellboy movie debuted 5 years ago this week. Another original Stephen King film with cats, Sleepwalker, debuted in 1992. And that is it for this page, I think. Sleepwalkers, I'm sorry. Nope. We got 2.5 pages to go. Moving right on. A24 has a new rom-com called Eternity with Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Cullen Tatum. I think I talked about that last week, but I figured to mention it again. Blood of Zeus Season 2 animated film is set to debut on May 9th on Netflix. Trailer was released this week. More CinemaCon news. Saw 11 has been moved to 2025. Five Nights at Freddy 2 is officially a Go picture. It's set debut also in 2025 as well. We got a new trailer for If, a Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski film about imaginary friends. Mickey 17 trailer with Robert Pattinson, directed by Parasite director Bong Joon-ho, was released. It's about cloning. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis gets a Cannes Film Competition debut. So you'll see it in this first time you'll see it in competition at Cannes Film Festival. Disney Plus will be dropping a Jim Henson documentary called Idea Man on May 31st. So that'll be cool to check that out. Noah Centineo, Michael Gandolfini, Joseph Quinn, Will Poulter are all part of the cast of I can't read it. Oh, Alex Garland's next film, Warfare. That's right. Alex Garland, who has success with Civil War, is now doing a movie called Warfare. And Noah Centineo, Michael Gandolfini, Joseph Quinn, Will Poulter are starring in that. The original Marvel Comics, G.I. Joe comics, will be getting traded, put into trade paperbacks and reprinted. About freaking time. Anime is more popular than football with Gen Z. Doesn't surprise me that much at all. Daniela Pineda joins the cast of The Accountant 2. Blumhouse is reimagining the Blair Witch, and a lot of people are unhappy with that. They believe the Blair Witch should not be touched, and there's been a lot more vocal people about this. So Blumhouse may have made a minor error, so we'll see what happens. The 97th Oscars is set to debut March 2nd. Well, not debut, but air March 2nd, 2025. Also at CinemaCon, the Crow reboot, which we didn't think was Snakebit, has now been pushed back to be released now instead of in June, in August. It's not that big of a deal, but to be pushed back into mid-August when the summer movie time frame is pretty much up is not a good sign at all. At the end of the year this year, on New Year's Eve, usually when we have leap year, we have what we call leap second, which is supposed to get us back on track with the rotation of the Earth, whatever. So normally it's not that really big of a deal because they still do the countdown, stuff like that. But you're supposed to, instead of it going, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. So let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, boom, Happy New Year to get us back on track. But I don't think that's going to happen. But this year we got something different. We're getting the first ever negative leap second, which means we have to lose one of the leap seconds. I don't know how we're going to do that, but that is, well, that's what it is. Will Sharp is Amadeus. Paul Bettany is Salieri in a new Amadeus movie coming, or Amadeus TV show, set debut probably sometime next year. It hasn't even started filming yet. Kat Dennings has joined Tim Allen's new sitcom. Didn't know Tim Allen was doing a new sitcom. In NFL news, the Packers will be playing the Eagles in Brazil on Friday, September 8th, the day after the season starts. So that's interesting. Orphan Black Echoes, the spinoff of the show, is set to debut June 23rd. New trailer for it popped up online. An 8-foot alligator enters a woman's house through the back door into the kitchen, and it's caught on video. Jenna Elfman and Bruce Greenwood have joined the cast of Dark Wind Season 3, which is a TV show. What is it? Adapting the Jim Chi Native American police officer, Tony Hillerman books. Boys season 4 is set to debut June 13th on Prime. Titan's moon, Titan, the moon of Saturn, their massive dunes that have been spotted on the surface may be comet and moon graveyard from the early solar system when the solar system was forming and Titan was forming as well. Comets and moons and all kinds of stuff were sent careening to Titan, crashed on the surface and created these dunes. That's why we need to send something to there to discover it, if that's the case. The Corona Borealis is a white dwarf that is getting ready to go supernova, and scientists believe that it is set to date to go supernova in September 2024. So they're saying that keep an eye up in the sky in September. They'll let you know more about that. So we might actually see another celestial event, which no doubt all the right-wingers will start saying this is the end of the world again. Red Rum the Candle. There is a candle called Red Rum based on The Shining that I don't know what it's going to smell like, but it's the Red Rum candle. This isn't the only candle news we have. We have more of that coming in the next page. The Rayquaza Soman Slide lands June 1st in Tokyo. It is it's going to be in the shape of Rayquaza, which is sort of a dragon shaped Pokemon, and it's going to be like in restaurants and rice or the like the pasta what do you call the ramen is ramen noodles are going to be sliding down, and that's how you're going to eat it, sort of thing. So that's going to be a brand new thing that happened. This is kind of a neat story. I play Pokemon Go. So does my wife. We played since the beginning, way back in 2016, 2018, something like that. It's been like 6 years. I think it's 2018. It's been like 6 years. Anyway, there is something called legacy moves, which are certain Pokemon were caught or hatched with this specific move that they called legacy moves. And Pokemon Go people eventually, to keep them sort of rare, stopped having that be given, that power be given to one of the Pokemon, that move be given to Pokemon, hence the name Legacy move. So, some more viewers are like, what the hell is going on? Anyway, so a guy who hadn't played Pokemon Go since like 2018, 2019, whatever, finally decided, hey, I haven't checked it in a while, and he's older, and he's like, now I have more time, and I want to get back into it. And so he gets back into it. So of course, he's got eggs and stuff from 2018, 2019 that he hasn't hatched yet. So he's hatching them, and he discovers a rare Pokemon that you cannot get anymore. I think it's 8 years, maybe. Staryu with his legacy move, Quick Attack. He hatched him from one of those eggs that's been sitting there since he stopped playing the game in 2018, 2019, whatever it was, when that move was still in the Pokemon. So obviously what they do is when they set up what's going to be in the egg, the moveset and all that stuff, they don't delete it no matter how old the egg is. So there could still be more of them out there, but right now it's extraordinarily rare to find that Pokemon with that Quick Attack, because it's a legacy attack that Staryu, if a Staryu, you catch a Staryu or hatch a Staryu or whatever, will not have Quick Attack and will never have Quick Attack again. Death, Trini Robbins, the trailblazing actress, model, and then eventually comic book artist and writer, died this week. She was a trailblazer because she was one of the first female writer artists to work in comics during the time that comics thought to be a men's only job. She was one of the first to do that, but she was also a model for a lot of characters in the comics as well. And the anniversary, Excalibur debuted in 1981. The movie based on the King Arthur story had Helen Mirren and Liam Neeson and Nigel something or other and a whole lot of other stuff. So pretty wild stuff. All right, got a page and a half left. Joker 2 or Joker Folia 2 trailer debuted this week as well. And again, it's sort of like, okay, they're going to play Harley Quinn and him as being in love and not being in a toxic relationship. Well, that's from the trailer we got. It looks like it's not from a toxic relationship. That looks like it's going to be true love. We get a lot of stuff that we've seen before from the previous movie. We get a lot of fancy film shots that, the director is again trying to get nominated for an Oscar and stuff like that. A lot of, crazy film shots and stuff like that. So, and recall callbacks to the original film, stuff like that. So we'll see. It's not as exciting to me as the first one. And even that one, the movie in the end was just sort of okay. When it comes out on October 4th, it's my anniversary. I'll be up in Sleepy Hollow, so I will not be watching it that weekend. Disney Plus's Beach Boys documentary is coming May 24th. So the week before their Jim Henson documentary, you're going to be getting a Beach Boys documentary. So Disney Plus is really getting into that. Apparently, Dr. Pepper not only is going to be part of beef sticks now, it now has a new flavor. The last flavor it released was strawberries and cream. Get ready for creamy coconut Dr. Pepper. I hate coconut, so I will never try this again. So you're never going to get me to try this on the show. I'm sorry. Not going to happen, but keep your eye out if you like coconut. Look for it in your shop. If you want this next item, you're going to have to go to one particular place. Pepsi now has a maple syrup flavored soda, which is only going to be available at IHOP. And actually, honestly, I kind of want to try it. So Pepsi maple syrup is now available at IHOP and only at IHOP. City Hunter trailer, live action adaptation of the anime is set to debut on Netflix here really soon. Star Wars Outlaws, the first open world video game, is set to debut potentially on August 30th. A new story trailer was released this week, but people are speculating that it will be August 30th. The Jon Snow spinoff for Game of Thrones has been shelved, so we will not be seeing that. We discussed this already, but Cillian Murphy, Ray Fiennes, Jodie Comer, and Charles Hunnam are set to star in Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later trilogy, which Nia DaCosta will be filming the second one of the trilogy. A rumored moonshine cave was actually discovered in a racetrack's underneath the racetrack's grandstand. So in North Carolina, there was rumor that there was some sort of moonshine being made on the premises of the Speedway, but no one could find it. Eventually, someone found that it was under the grandstand, and they discovered it. So that's kind of interesting. I talked about the red rum candles. How about a Little Debbie snacks candles? All the Little Debbie snacks candles, including cosmic brownies and oatmeal cream pies, are set to debut as candles as well. That'll smell like the food stuff that you like. 20th Century Fox has picked up the distribution rights to the Bruce Springsteen biopic, which will be starring the dude from The Bear. Windman Masala joins Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's new film. Godzilla x Kong Escape Room is coming. A human heart-shaped rock was unearthed on the Oregon coast. That's kind of interesting, and they're trying to figure out how and why and where it came from. Scott Dumbier is set to set up a brand new comic book publishing house. So it should be interesting to see what that's going to be part of. Local news, the Port of Baltimore is set to reopen on May 2nd. I talked a little bit about this also. It'll be in a limited capacity, but it will be open for business again. So cruise ships and other ships bringing stuff like that will have to traverse in a more shallow area, but they will be able to make it to the Port of Baltimore and leave the Port of Baltimore, vice versa. Violin case saved from the Titanic before it sank is set to go to auction in England and is set a price for £120,000. So interesting about that. Fly Me to the Moon trailer, Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum, is basically about sort of gives a new spin on the we didn't land on the moon, or the moon landing was fake sort of thing. The story basically says that NASA is working on trying to land a man on the moon, but if it does not succeed, they want to have an external feed of astronauts on the moon to make it look like we did land on there in case something happens. It crashes and burns. It gets off course, whatever, but we want to prove to the world that we did land on the moon. So they hire Scarlett Johansson to sort of cast and sort of set up this fake moon landing, though it is not, it's only as a backup if something happened to the original. They're not saying the moon landing was fake. They're saying that we did fake a moon landing, but only if the real moon landing was a complete and utter failure. So it looks interesting. It's a romantic comedy sort of thing. So we'll see what happens. Good to see Scarlett doing something a little bit more lighthearted after a while. Final season of Evil is set to debut May 23rd. New trailer came out this week. That means Michael Coulter could return if he wanted to as Luke Cage to the MCU now. Jay Smith Coleman is set to join Hack Season 3. She was on Succession. The Maxine trailer, which is the final part of the Mia Goth trilogy, is set to debut July 5th. Well, not the trailer, but the movie set to debut July 5th. The trailer was released this week. Garbage Men in Turkey, when they were doing their rounds, they discovered lots of people throwing out their books, and they said, that's not right. They took those books and bought a little area and put them on the shelf and made a little library out of all the books that they got that were being thrown away by people. It's now expanded incredibly, which is great. Walking Dead, Dead City Season 2 starts filming next week. A lost mouse deer species, which was considered gone 30 years ago, has resurfaced, so it's been rediscovered. Wish, the Thanksgiving Disney film that flopped, and everyone had the Schadenfreude, Disney sucks, your movies suck, your animation sucks, like that. And I talked about, I've been defending it and all these other movies about why the failures are happening due to COVID and people wanting to watch these movies on streaming instead of movie theaters, because movie theaters are terrible places to watch films, according to some people. Wish became a huge hit on Disney Plus, as did the Marvels, as did Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, you know, all you people screaming for Schadenfreude about how bad Disney's doing, yeah, it might not be doing too well in movie theaters, but if you also, I was reading this guy who was one of those guys who was trumpeting how bad that stuff was also. He's talking about how bad, despite the Civil War making $24 million, how bad the box office is again this year. So, you know, again, it's not something you can control. It's just the way it is. And, you know, Wish has become a huge hit, and we'll see what happens. I'm combining these. I'm sorry. Pluto is now a planet. It's a planet again. Huzzah! But only in Arizona. Arizona is this weird state right now. They said this made Pluto is a planet now in Arizona, but then they also had a anti-abortion bill that was passed in 1864 come back on the books and basically create a ban of abortion in Arizona, and they just lost their hockey team. So a lot of craziness, but you know, at least, and then Arizona doesn't have, turn the clocks back in Arizona. But, at least they believe Pluto is a planet. So that's a good sign. So we'll celebrate that. But the rest of the stuff, we can just sort of go, I don't want to think about that, or it needs to change. Two of the best auteurs in filmmaking, John Waters and David Lynch, are both in stories this week. And it is a shame that these two auteurs, who are just the antithesis of typical movie directors, have to play these games. John Waters hasn't made a film in close to 20 years. He is set to make a film called Liar Mouth, which I think is based on a book that he wrote. And he has cast his lead in the lovely Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec and the upcoming Agatha movie or TV show. But he does not have the money to make the movie, so he's got to try to raise the money. So hopefully he'll get it raised, and hopefully we'll get a new John Waters movie with Aubrey Plaza. She's like the perfect John Waters actress. And hopefully they'll film it in Baltimore, and it'll be a great, return for him. David Lynch has teamed up with Caroline Thompson, who wrote Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands and Black Beauty and a few other things as well, to create an animated film called Snoot World, and Netflix has rejected it, which is a total shame because they're accepting every other goddamn thing. So the fact that David Lynch can't get a movie made and that John Waters can't get a movie made is kind of disappointing. And again, I'm not blaming superhero movies like Martin Scorsese does, but still there's got to be something done that these two auteurs can get their new films up on the screen. Death, CJ Snove, lead singer of Firehouse, passed away this week. Anniversaries, Baltimore's Oriole Park at Camden Yards opened 30 years ago this week. The Girl Next Door debuted 20 years ago this week, I think with the luscious Elijah Cuthbert. And REM is a twofer. REM's second album, Reckoning, came out the same week as his first one, but it came out a year later. REM's Reckoning is 40 years old this week. Finally, the last half page, and we can go home. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm able to breeze through it pretty quickly. Robert Downey Jr. says that he's open to returning as Iron Man and also to never bet against Kevin Feige. So hopefully the haters out there will take that to heart. Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, wants to conclude the show Westworld that was canceled by HBO before Jonathan Nolan could wrap up the show that he wanted to, but he wants to wrap it up now. So he's trying to figure out a way to do it via movie, not a TV show, and sell it to somebody else. Agathe Zumair to reprise her role as Vanessa Fisk in the new Daredevil show. Originally, she was recast, and Vincent D'Onofrio did not like that because he enjoyed working with the actress who played Vanessa originally. But with the whole changes they made to Daredevil, she has been recast in the role and filmed her part in the now finished filming Daredevil Born Again series. The last story of the week is going to be a double shot, but so we got the Amazing Spider-Man TV show debuted in 1978 this week. One of my favorite shows growing up because I was a huge Spider-Man fan. It was always an interesting one to see Spider-Man, fighting on rooftops against villains, but there were never any of the splashy villains. They were all just regular criminals. But it was always interesting to see him filming sequences on top of actual buildings high up, which was really kind of cool. And I just talked about David Lynch. Twin Peaks, one of my favorite TV shows of all time. The pilot debuted 34 years ago this week as well. Now, the final two stories this week are both cryptids. Mothman in Mexico. Could the Mothman who's been spotted recently in Mexico, could there be something going down in Mexico here soon? And has he actually been seen in Mexico? That's the first I heard of it. And in Azerbaijan, a video shows a brand new bipedal cryptid, hairy, maybe their version of a Bigfoot, but no one really knows for sure. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight's episode of Dylan Knows 549. Next week, we are headed for a heat wave here in Reisterstown. We're looking at 75 on Sunday, 76 on Monday, 71 on Tuesday, 69 on Wednesday, 67 Thursday, 67 Friday, and then 62 on Saturday. We get back in the 50s by the end of next weekend. So we got quite a heat wave coming up here. So that'll be interesting to look forward to. And other than that, I don't think there's anything else major. 420 is coming up on Saturday. So I'll probably be doing my show on 420. Donald Trump has his first court case this week, finally. So hopefully we'll get some justice and he will get his ass to jail and we can be done with all this. Other than that, I can't think of much else going on. Probably, I mean, as I said, next week will also be the 25th anniversary of Columbine as well. Other than that, not much else really going on here. So my daughter's junior prom is on Friday, and she's going to be going to it, so that's kind of cool. And, yeah, so that's about it. So we will see what happens next week. I got nothing else to say. I'm outie.